I'm so sorry if you just saw my makeup tutorial. Sorry, I had to pick something up. Not exactly a tutorial. It kind of turned into one, but I lost a bet. And so I did begin by running a separate live with a makeup tutorial to satisfy the bet. As I said, I'd never do a makeup tutorial. That being said, we do have sponsorship and endorsement letters going out now to all kinds of people. Maybelline, L'Oreal, Garnier, the stuff I've been using for years. And it's kind of interesting that now that matters. Crazy hair. Yeah, crazy hair. Now that it's getting longer, the curl goes out and it just turns into this thing. And when I was a child, I brushed my hair endlessly to try to make it straight. So it was never straight, it was just like a thick mat. So I'm kind of having fun now, just letting my freak flag fly, you know? So, TikTok's all caught up. Let's get started here. So for editing purposes, I'm gonna pretend like this is the beginning. And because I've been told to do that thing by the powers that be, I'm actually being guided. My book is coming out on my birthday, September 2nd. Pre-orders are up now on Amazon, Kindle, and I'm freaking out. So self-talk, I can't even speak. My continuing efforts to survive childhood sexual assault. And it's a companion, but it's coming out. Anybody who pre-orders gets both. The other one is the workshop book and the workbook that goes with it. So there's actually like 3 books coming out. And so the workshop book that is the companion is Survive in Spades. And Spades is what I realized, basically I made an acronym out of what I realized that I do every day to handle the triggers, you know. As a childhood sexual assault survivor, the world is full of triggers. And while I talk about that at length and in depth on a personal level in my Survive in Spades workshops, this is Those Nasty Women Talk. And it's a whole other ballgame. And right now, it's more about goddamn. It's more about goddamn. How, with all the work we've been doing, with decades of living and learning and progress, how are we going backwards? How are our rights being stripped away? I mean, we can watch it happen, and I can tell you how. Kind of what I do. Kind of what I want to do. But we're going to start with the question. Aren't you alarmed that the Supreme Court has decided that Mifepristone can no longer be mail-ordered? I mean, it was just 2016 when they finally freed this drug that has been on the market since 1937 and reevaluated in the 60s with no ill effects, is now under question because now we are able, our country, because of the Electoral College and the way it's set up and the way the popular vote doesn't matter and the way that gerrymandering creates areas that are not representative of the people that live within them, we find ourselves in a position that for most of my life was theoretical. When I was a child, I watched us win rights. This is going to shock so many people, but I am so surprised how many people, even my own age, do not know that it wasn't even legal to marry a person who was black if you were white, or vice versa, until 1972. We live in a country that is not interested in our women's rights anymore, evidently. So it seems. But that's not true. And that's what I'm here to do, is flip the rhetoric. Don't give in. Don't bow down. Don't think this is the way it is. America has been hijacked by errors in a political system that count cows and land essentially as proper as votes. And what I mean by that, because the right's going to argue, but the deal is, it's the goddamn truth, because electoral votes are what really determine who wins the presidency. This is why the popular vote has not mattered many times in the past. This is why the popular vote oftentimes was for somebody that did not win the electoral college vote and then become president. So the argument keeps getting back to, it comes back to states' rights. Everything goes back to states' rights. And so what the Supreme Court has done, just like they did with Roe v. Wade, is say we cannot federally mandate human rights. It's a states issue. And they throw it back to states. And now a person who was raped, or their condom broke, or for whatever reason thinks they would like to make a preemptive strike and take this medication, or they find that they're pregnant in the very early stages. There's no Planned Parenthood anywhere nearby. There's nowhere to go. The only place you have is to mail order this drug that has been safe and effective since 1937. And now it's gone. I don't take these things lightly. I've had 2 abortions. My kids know it. I'm perfectly open and honest. It was not the right time for me. And although I'm a child sexual assault survivor, both of my abortions were at times when I was an adult, young adult, and then an actual adult. Both times when I did not want a child right then. And it is I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you what science is and what it should be to you and what spirit and religion are and what they should be to you. I'm here to say it's nobody's business but a woman and her doctors. Or their doctors. And there's no use preaching that. I've preached that stuff for years. I've written essays. If you go back online, I started like in 2010 when my son made me a page, and I just started selling floral barrettes and jewelry that I made myself and just pumping out essays. I was like, oh, well, somebody's listening. And it's just really disheartening to find that it feels like it didn't have effect. It feels like we've backslid. Oh my God, how can you deal with this? All I know to say is, I don't know why, but I feel better when I pull on my roots. My little niche in the world is Sweet Survivor. I bitched and whined for so many years online until I finally realized, because I already had a business selling women artisan products, and I had a mall store selling local women artisan artworks, and also fair trade. We were a 10,000 villages affiliate before the pandemic. And then I consider partner, but I was an independent contractor for a family friend and his wife, and they both died of COVID, December and January of 20 and 21. And we go on. Sorry. They had 12 daughters, and they already buried 2. And they were big supporters of the mission of Sweet Survivor. And I don't mean to be crying, I'm sorry. As I received messages from, I founded Sweet Survivor, Our mission is to connect people with RAINN if they're victims, and to report to Thorn and encourage people to, or to do it on their behalf if they are worried about and need another level of anonymity. But nobody can get into Gaza. Nobody can get in and help these people. There's people all over the world we can't help. But in most of the world, we work with, local, regional, federal law enforcement as well as militaries, and everybody cooperates, whether it's an autocracy or all countries have been on board. But we can't get in Gaza. And I'm asking you to please start a $4.99 subscription. I don't want to be that cheesy person, but you all know it takes money to do things. It takes money to buy plane tickets. It takes money to get people places. It takes money to intervene. And our subscription doesn't even have an option for bigger donations. I mean, you can multiply the cart, but we just would like $5 for SWEETSurvivor so that we can help the people we can help. But right now, no amount of money is going to help the people in Gaza. And so I have joined in with fellow influencers, which is kind of a weird thing to say because I never considered myself an influencer. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I turned decades of pain and self-loathing into, I'm not going to live like this. I was, until I had children. And then I was like, I see the bigger picture. I see how I fit into it. And despite the fact that my family doesn't want anything to do with me for telling the truth, even though they had nothing to do with it, and no one in my immediate family was involved, I know that this is the place I can make a difference in the world. So what are we going to do? I know that we can get together. I know that you can join the Sweet Hero Action Teams. I know a Sweet Hero Action Team is, it doesn't even take a subscription. It just it's like a Hippocratic oath. It's like saying, I will report. If I see something, I will say something. That is what it is. And I keep getting on here and ending up in tears. And that's not professional, but you know what? I'm not a professional. Shocker. Oh. I'm a survivor. My book got picked up by the biggest publicist for self-help books in the world. It's on pre-order on Amazon. That's all great. And you know what? It means nothing. It means nothing while another child is being raped, or another person is just plain starving because we don't have the goddamn human decency to demand that our country stop this. That the world stop this. I grew up in a country where I thought we were leaders. And not because we have more might, also because we have more might. Because you got to carry a big stick. The world's not going to sing Kumbaya with you if you lay down your arms. I've totally preached that too. One of my pages is armed and liberal. Armed, liberal, and training. And I am. And I'm a hell of a good shot. Glasses and all. 100 yards, no scope. Bullseye every time with my AR. And many other things. From Civil War rifles to any kind of pistol you put in my hand. You know what? That's supposed to be fun. I grew up shooting. I grew up in Missouri. I is not a vigilante. I said I is not. Sorry, I shouldn't make fun of Missourians being one. But I do know nothing's going to change if I sit back and count my blessings and just be grateful. And you know what I do? I count my blessings and I'm grateful every day. And what it makes me want to do is share that blessing. My dad taught me. My dad was a Methodist minister. And he sang and danced in local shows, and he was a teacher of history and English, a small town. And the principal of my high school, ultimately. And when I graduated. And he taught me many lessons that I didn't realize how valuable they were at the time. You know how our parents get smarter the older we get. And he told me there are two kinds of Christians, but I'm going to apply this to humans. He was being specific. Let's broaden that. There are loving spiritual people who pass a person on the side of the road. Pass a person on the side of the road now means anybody you see on social media, anybody you're disparaging against, anybody you could help and don't. Anyway, so one kind of human passes a person on the spiritual human, loving human, and says, I feel so bad for them. I'm so sorry for them. I'm so glad that me and mine are not suffering. Thank you, God, that me and mine are not suffering. And they move along. And they feel good about themselves because they felt sorry for the disparaged person. But my father told me, and my mother, but especially my father, that's not enough. That's called baseline of decency. I care. Doing something. Saying, what can I do, disparaged person? How can I uplift you? Are you hungry? Are you cold? Do you need food? Can I stop somebody from indiscriminately killing you because you are of a nationality that they do not like and we're all fucking scared to intervene? Be the second kind of spiritual person. Because we're going to lose to hypocrisy and fake prophets if we don't. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 3-ish.